All right, it is currently just about 2 a.m. on Saturday, and we are officially at fight day for 312, the pay-per-view of the year, I think. Maybe the most stacked card of the year.
It
Um,
is.
no, I mean,
Real fans will be watching. Real fans are excited for thickness versus Taporia.
it's Volk versus Taporia 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I call it. But no, I'm still excited for it. Obviously, we got two title fights. Excited for both of those. But before we talk about those, we have not recorded since UFC Saudi Arabia, so we'll go over the top three, starting with Sergey Pavlovich getting a good win over Rosenstrike. He dominated in the grappling as most people thought he would, even though they both like to do most of their work on the feet. Um, Going into this, I kind of was thinking it was either going to be a crazy first round knockout from either of them, probably Sergey, or one that just kind of plays out a little bit slower than I guess a casual fan would like. So yeah, good one for Pavlovich. What do you think of it?
I mean, bro, he ended Rosenstruck's career. Like,
Yeah, the UFC career is done for Rosenstrike. I was super weirded out to see that, being that he's got
I, yeah,
good
I
wins in the
just
UFC still.
he beat Shamil Gaziev, who also on this card decided to turn into prime Francis Ngannou for some reason and knock out UFC 5 generated fighter Thomas Peterson.
Reiterated is
I don't
great.
know. I don't know how you keep tied to Ivasa, who's on a 5-fight losing streak, and Rosenstruck loses fight to one of the best heavyweights and just immediately gets cut. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, Sergey's was on a three fight skid, but at the same time, it's like before that he was the boogeyman of the division, most people thought, and like no one's gonna like get on you for losing to Sergey Pavlovich if you're Rosenstrike. Like no one's like really been on his ass, but apparently except for the UFC. So I was weirded out by that.
Dana was
And
on
then
having
yeah, and then the other thing for me is like when you look at heavyweight right now, you've got that top 4 to 5 with Aspinall, Jones, Gane, Volkov, and Almeida. Outside of that, the
we could
division
throw Blades in there too. Come on now,
who?
Blades.
I'm not putting Blade. No, I'm not putting Blades in there right now.
Don't act like bro.
Blades is fighting someone that's coming off the Contender Series right now, and every big opportunity. Not to sound like a Blades hater because he's really good, but it just seems like Blades only beats the lower ranked guys, and whenever he gets those big
You got to
opportunities,
beat Tom Aspinall in the UFC. Don't forget that.
right, with the knee injury. No, but for real, it's just a weird thing. It's a weird timing thing for Rosenstrike to be cut from the heavyweight division. I mean, I don't want to say thin on contenders, but I mean, what heavyweights are you gonna have in there that are gonna be better options than Rosenstrike right now?
Shamil the Blob Gaziev. That's who,
Why
buddy.
not have both of them? Rosenstrike's usually a good option to have. He can make a main card on some pay-per-views. He can main event fight nights. He has a fun style for the most part if he's not getting dominated. Like, I don't see the point in cutting him. I
Yeah,
do.
I felt bad for bro.
But
The
maybe
next
there's
fight,
something we don't know.
bad month to be a undefeated fighter prospect in the UFC.
Yeah, we got Talbot and then on the higher level, Umar, and now Shara losing to MVP. Um, I've been saying it since he got to the UFC and even before that. It's so hard to prepare for a style like Michael Venom Page's. You can't, it's hard to replicate that in sparring and in the training camp leading up to it. So I think outside of really good grapplers like how Ian Gary fought with Michael Venom Page, if it plays out on the feet, MVP is just going to weird you out. He's going to confuse you. And that's what happened with Shara. Shara wasn't really able to ever get started in this fight. Didn't land anything of significance. Um, and MVP cashing in as an underdog in this fight, which I was also surprised that he was the dog in this fight to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, bro moved up a weight class, beat an undefeated prospect. It's just gonna go back down. Gonna go back down to welterweight. Gotta
That's my
respect it.
that's my other point that I was gonna get to is that since this is very much just a fun booking. Um, neither of these guys, I don't think, especially with MVP being so vocal about moving down to 170 after this, um, the stakes on this, I don't think were that high. Like, I don't think Char's stock goes down that much. You lose to MVP, everyone likes MVP. MVP has a fun style. It's hard to prepare for, like I said. And he's going back down a weight class. So you're losing to someone who isn't even in the weight class. You you just got your ranking removed. Bo Nickel is now ranked number 15, which is also really interesting. Um, but
So stupid.
but I mean, you're right outside the top 15. You get another big win, you're right back in it. I don't think this is the end of the world for Shara at all. I think he gets another one this year. They go back to Abu Dhabi. He fights someone there, and the pirate continues on. But for MVP, I mean, good to get him back in the win column. Someone who's sort of a fan favorite like that. It's always good to see him winning.
Yeah.
And there is a ton of fun fights that could happen down at 170 for MVP.
Yeah.
Just thinking off the top of my head, I mean, I'd love to see like an MVP versus Jeff Neal. I think that would be really fun. MVP versus Stephen Thompson is always there. That's the first fight I thought of whenever he was announced that he was coming to the UFC. Um, I
I
don't
do
know.
really want to see
Is there
Stephen
anyone else
Thompson.
you'd want to see him at fight at 170?
I do really want to see Stephen Thompson keep getting beat up though. Like, bro, why is he not
Steven,
cut?
no, but here's the thing though. Like, if anyone can handle MVP's sort of karate low hand stance style, I mean, Stephen Thompson, he fights kind of similar. It's a little bit different, but it's just
Yeah, but
another fight.
The
Kind of,
brother's also 45, so
I think it'd be a fun striking fight. I mean, Stephen Thompson, I don't care how old Stephen Thompson is. If he's standing up and striking, I'm not worried about his cardio. And I think he has a shot against a lot of the guys at 170 if it's just on the feet. Obviously, the grappling is a different story, but against a guy like MVP, would you expect any grappling out of that? No.
you know. I
So
was on the other side of it. I don't know. About Shara. I mean, he said he is right there, but I honestly never really saw him or thought of him as a guy who could compete for the belt. Maybe he gets a title shot once, but I never really thought out of the guys in that division that he could even win it. I kind of see him as being just like a journeyman.
do you think he's just going to be one of those guys that just has fun fights? He has some
Yes,
highlights here and there,
like a yeah, I could see him being a bro.
like a Kevin Holland
Yeah,
or
Kevin
a
Holland. I was like Kevin Holland, bro. I was like, who am I? Yeah, I can see him being a Kevin Holland.
yeah. I mean, the grappling is not there. That wasn't an issue in this fight. Shar did come out and say on social media that he was dealing with some major health issues, so who knows how much that could have played in. I'm not. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But yeah, that is just the sort of short version of it. I think his real issue is the grappling. A lot of guys at middleweight that are really good grapplers, especially at the top. And now at the top of the division is another guy who's really good at grappling, but didn't need to use it against Israel Adesanya.
Man,
I- Ivanov knocks out Izzy in the second round on the feet, and the right hand was devastating, but that left hand while Izzy was going down, that's the one that put Izzy out. That was the worst shot that Izzy's taken in a long time, maybe since fighting Alex or the Sean Strickland right hand that he took. Um,
I mean, bro. I mean, he pulled a reverse Pereira, bro. He tried to clip farm with the eye poke and be like, "No, I'm good," and then immediately 1 shot later was knocked out. It was just sad to see, man.
Yeah, that's sort of the biggest question mark on not the biggest question mark, but that's something that's being talked about a lot. Should Izzy have taken more time after the eye poke? He only took about 5 or 6 seconds. Told Mark Carter he's good, and then 5 seconds later he's on the ground and he lost his third fight in a row, four out of his last five. And so I mean, with how good he looked in the first round, who knows how it would have went if he had just took 20 seconds, 30 seconds, even a minute. I mean, you have a full 5 minutes, and this is something that I think a lot of fighters could take advantage of. Use the time; it's there for you. That being said, credit due to Imavov. I mean, taking advantage of a moment like that, landing a significant shot like that, winning in extremely impressive fashion. This is best case scenario for Imavov. There's people out here saying that he's just as, if not more, deserving of a title shot than Hamzat. Um, and honestly, I think they're just as deserving as each other for a title shot. I mean, Hamzat's last win, former champion Robert Whitaker submission. What are you looking at me for?
Oh no, bro! I hope, as an Izzy fan, I hope Imavov fights comes out, bro, so he gets mauled in the first 5 seconds. He gets his jaw broke.
I would pick Hamzat to beat Imavov. Don't get that twisted. But I mean, a win over Robert Whitaker and
But
a
he
win over Israel Adesanya, those are, I mean, those are both warranting of title shots. No.
is he on a 2-fight losing streak over Whitaker, who still can still compete for a title. Like, as much as it hurts me to say, and I love Izzy, I just don't see him competing with those top guys anymore at the middleweight division. But I
So,
can see Robert Whitaker doing that.
so that was going to be my next question. Do you think it was just a case of Izzy getting caught in a bad moment in a bad sequence? Because he looked phenomenal in the first round. Even Dana said it. Dana said he could not have looked better in the first round. Was controlling the distance well. Was poking him with the jab and with some other shots. I thought Izzy looked awesome in the first round, and
Mm-hmm.
then a weird sequence with the eye poke like that happens. It doesn't make me necessarily think that Izzy is not still one of the top guys. Whether he fights for a title again or not, that's a whole different discussion. But as far as what's
Just
next for as far as what's next for both of them, I mean, if I'm Imavov, what else than a title shot? I mean, I get Hamzat's gonna fight for the title, but with Hamzat potentially not being able to fight in the States, Imavov could slide into a title shot.
and I'm not saying obviously I love Izzy, one of my favorite fighters ever. I'll never not pick Izzy in a fight, but like I really like I don't think I say I wouldn't pick him, but that's just out of my love for him. Like I wouldn't pick him. I don't think he would beat DDP. I don't think he beats Strickland. He definitely doesn't beat Hamzat. And I don't even know if it's crazy to say if he would beat Whitaker again. I think Whitaker could beat him right now.
Well, Whitaker and him are not going to fight because they're boys now.
They are boys.
Whitaker
That's
came and trained with Izzy for a little bit during this camp. Um, showed some sparring footage of them. They recorded a breakdown video for one of the UFC cards, so that was kind of cool of them. But
I need Whitaker to get revenge. Beat this stupid French dude. Next,
that would be something.
yeah. Next topic though, UFC 312. We got Strickland and Duplessis, Zhang Wei Li, Tatiana Suarez, and the rest are nobodies. So
Shout out fight. Shout out fight.
yeah.
Now, so real quick before we get into 312, I just want to touch up on last thing about Izzy. Um, as far as what's next for Izzy, I Izzy versus Char Bullet? Who says
I don't know.
no?
I think Izzy should retire. Personal opinion. I don't want to see him go lose any more, man.
I think Izzy versus Chara I think there's no better time to do it, and I think it would sell. And
Yeah.
so, but I'll leave that be. UFC 312
What
tonight.
what what are your honest opinions on this card, man?
Um, yeah, this is
It is
for a lack
definitely a
for a
card.
lack of better word, this is not a card that I would have thought would have been presented as a pay-per-view. I get there's two title fights. That makes it a pay-per-view. I get it. But as far as the rest of the card, the rest of the main card, the undercard, the name value isn't all the way there as it's not on par with the other pay-per-views. But I mean, we're all like going all us fans are going crazy over this card not being as good as it should be, but at the same time, it's like the UFC has a pay-per-view once or twice a year, usually just once where it is a little top heavy, and that's this scenario. But yeah, it's completely blunt. It's probably going to be the worst pay-per-view of the year, just name-wise, like on paper. It
Yeah.
could turn out to be a banger card though
Sometimes
on the
cards like
fights.
that are like that, where like not a lot of names, but like you got knockouts or finishers like every fight. So
That's all I'm saying. So on paper, yes, it's not anything crazy. It's not anything to brag about. Um, But I do love the two title fights. I'm super excited for both of them. This is kind of a hot take, but I think I'm more excited for the co-main event than I am for the middleweight title. It's a hot
okay,
take.
okay. No, I mean it's a good fight. I mean, like I said, these are two good fights, but I mean the fact that we're expected to pay $80 for this. I mean, oh yeah, also Dominic Cruz retired.
He did. Yeah, we'll touch on that in a moment.
But yeah, the fact that we're expecting $80 for this, or the fact that the people of Australia are expected to spend half of their life savings to go to this event is just like, are you serious? Are you
Yeah, I
kidding?
mean, obviously being in Australia, there's going to be Australian talent, so I'm sure the Aussies will show up for them. But
I mean, shout out Jack Jenkins. I am excited for that fight. I love Jack Jenkins.
there's a lot of style, like stylistically, a lot of these fights should be good. If you scroll down, Santos versus Jack Jenkins is going to be good. Borslev has I don't know if I've ever seen Borslev in a boring fight. Tom against Tom Nolan, and then
Hey,
obviously Volk
Colby
versus
Thickeney.
Taporia 1.5. Thickenese is one of Volk's main training partners over the last few years, and then obviously Taporia's older brother is making his UFC debut. He's kind of put his career on hold a little bit for Ilya. So it's cool to see him get into the UFC now and get a shot. I mean, it's on a pay-per-view card. So
Yeah. All I'm saying is, when Colby Thickness wins, the score will be 1-1. Okay.
is that how it goes?
The
Volk gets a dub for
score.
that.
That's just how it goes. I'm sorry, but it will
We
be
don't make the
1.
we don't make the rules.
That's just how it is.
All right, but we'll
But
break down the main card.
yeah,
So starting on the main card,
now we got
Jake Math Jake
good old
Matthews, UFC staple against
UFC legend.
Francisco Prado. I completely get why Jake Matthews is at that minus 240 betting line in Australia. I think this is a perfect opportunity for Jake to show off the hands, and I could very well see him getting a second or third round knockout.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go the same. We might just for the Aussies, man. We might just pick all the Australian fighters.
Aussie parlay.
Yeah, Aussie parlay. Might have to run that. Yeah, I mean, I just think that Jake Matthews is he's just better than this guy. I mean, there's not much to say. Like I said, yeah, that fight. All right,
That fight.
Jimmy Crute and Rodolfo Bellato. What do you think?
I kind of felt bad for Jimmy Crute because the first thing I saw on Twitter this morning was it was like it was a fan reacting to this card, and the first comment under it was, "No way we're getting Jimmy Crute on the main card of pay-per-views in 2025." Um, Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. But
I mean,
Jimmy
like,
Crut's Jimmy Crut's really good. He's been in and out of the rankings. He's at plus money here against Bellato.
can't do
I
that to the Australian dude on his own card.
I get it though. Bellato's looked good. He's young. But I'm riding with the Aussie here. I think Jimmy Crut's gonna do pretty well in this. I think he's gonna land some hard shots. I could see him even doing some stuff on the ground in this fight. Um, I'll go with Jimmy Crute strictly for the vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree.
Yeah,
Uh,
strictly for vibes. Aussie,
Aussies,
Aussie,
man.
Aussie.
Yeah, Jimmy Crute, the guy, cool name too. What can I say? Rodolfo Bellato, count your days, buddy. Next fight, the featured fight, Justin Taffa, Alison Teixeira. Uh, yeah, man. What do you think?
Slugfest is what I think. Um, this is what you get whenever you get a Justin Taffa fight. They're gonna throw hands. They're gonna meet in the middle. Um, I think both men are gonna land hard shots in this fight. That being said, I think it could go either way. Obviously, it's heavyweight MMA, as Tom Aspinall says. Anything can happen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go with Teixeira actually here,
Really?
going away from the Aussie vibes. Um, I'm gonna go with Teixeira by first round knockout. I think these boys are gonna start fast. I think Toph is gonna have a little bit more of a motor on him, being in Australia. And I think it might work against him. Actually, I think he's gonna get caught.
Hey, I'm gonna go 3 for 3 here. I'm gonna pick Justin Taffa. I mean, he's got the hands. He knocked out Parker Porter. No one does that. All right, except Justin Taffa. So yeah, man, give me Justin Taffa by knockout.
Perfect. To the co-main event. I think the reason that I'm a little bit more excited for this one than I am for the main event is I just have more questions about this one. I have a feeling about how the Strickland and DDP fight's gonna play out, which I'll get to in a moment. Um, but with Suarez and Wei Lee, they're both really well rounded, especially Wei Lee, and um, I think Suarez's wrestling is something that Wei Lee is gonna have real issues with. Um, I think Wei Lee over the years has gotten way better in the grappling department. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's Wei Lee of 2021 fighting against Rose Namajunas where she was getting taken down and held down on her back. But Suarez's wrestling is something different. She wrestled her whole life, starting at about 2.5 or 3 years old. Um, Wanted to be an Olympic wrestler, got into the MMA game and fell in love with that. So I think she's going to cause real problems for Wei Lee. On the feet, it could be dangerous for Suarez, but I think if Suarez just takes her time, manages distance well enough, and lands a good bit of takedowns, which I think she will, um, I think Suarez is going to dominate this fight. Frankly, I think Whaley will have her moments, especially early, but I trust in both these ladies' cardios, and I could see Suarez winning the later rounds. And I don't know if there's going to be a finish. She is a good finisher when she's on the ground. She's undefeated, but for now, I'm just gonna go Tatiana Suarez by decision. I think she wins either 4-1 or 3-2.
Also disagree with you here, buddy. I've watched a couple Zhang Weili fights in my day. Um, Also, the fact that it has not been good to be an undefeated fighter in the UFC. We've seen almost, I think, pretty much every single one has lost, which is pretty crazy. Tatiana Suarez is very good. I definitely consider winning. But from just what I've seen from Zhang Weili, man, like she's just so dominant in her fights, and I think she's just going to continue to dominate in this one. We're going to get a decision, but I'm not going to know because I will be taking a nap. I'm just kidding. I will watch it. Well, maybe I won't be watching any of the fights. But, yeah, I mean, still pretty exciting, though. I like Zhang Weili. Low-key underrated, one of the best custom shorts in the UFC, in my opinion.
Her shorts are her whole kit is really
pretty
cool.
fire.
I like the whole Chinese vibe, the red.
Plus,
I like that a lot. Yeah.
she picked up Shaq. I don't think Suarez has done that. So, give me Zhang Weili by decision.
I love the Shaq call out, picking up Shaq. That should be on the stats.
That needs to be like right here.
Like down below stance, it should just be one picked up Shaq.
Picked up Shaq, yes, no. Anyways, now what everyone is caring about on this card.
Main event.
Strickland, DDP, should be Hamzat, but it's okay.
The timing worked out for Strickland. I am not mad about this being the booking at all. With Hamzat's history, I mean, hasn't been booked that often, so I was not surprised whenever I saw that it was Strickland. Strickland rocking the new look going into this fight week. He's, as Oscar Willis of the Mac Life said, he is rocking the racist police officer mustache.
Either to that or if he was darker, he'd look Mexican.
That's wild. No, but Strickland coming in, thinks he won the first fight. Off of first watch, I thought it was close. I wasn't going to be mad at either decision. I thought Strickland won, just because I thought he did more damage up top. I mean, you look at DDP's face after that fight and look at Strickland's. DDP had both his eyes swelled really bad, but I get why DDP got the decision. I rewatched it. I get it for sure. It's not a robbery by any means. But on to this fight, the only difference I see in how this will play out compared to the first one is I think DDP will be a little bit more on the gas than he was the first time. I think he's going to try and wrestle a little bit more than he did the first time, instead of play the standing game with Sean Strickland. DDP did really good with the body kicks, with the leg kicks against Sean Strickland, but I think DDP is still going to be there to be hit. I think Strickland's jab is one of the best in all of MMA. That being said, though, I just think Drakus is at a point where he's really coming to his own. I think he just keeps on getting better and better. And since becoming a champion, I just think he's really hitting his stride. So I'm gonna roll with Drakus. I think it's another decision. I certainly, even though I think Drakus will use the wrestling more, I certainly don't see Sean Strickland getting submitted. He's never been submitted in his MMA career. I don't see that happening. If Drakus were to get a finish, I would say he either lands something up top on the feet or maybe some ground and pound. But I think Strickland is just too good at getting up from takedowns or just defending the takedown in general. So I think it does play out a little bit similar to the first fight. But I think Drakus will use the wrestling a little bit more. That being said, Drakus by decision.
See, I don't know. I low-key thought you were gonna go Strickland. But I'm also gonna agree. I'm gonna go Drakus by somehow, some way. He will win. Whether that be a tunnel painted on the wall or a piano falling on Sean Strickland, Drakus will get the win. I can see him actually submitting him. I know Strickland's never been submitted, but I mean, also, if anyone's gonna get submitted in a Strickland fight, it is not gonna be Strickland finishing somebody. I'll tell you that right now. Gun to your head, name 3 Strickland finishes. That's what I thought. Yeah, man. I mean,
Brendan Allen, Abus Magomedov,
Brendan Allen. Yeah. So
Abus Magomedov, and
yeah, and he would have been shot. No, but
I know another one.
yeah, you got to pull back to when he had him, bro. Pretty sure he's got a submission win actually. His
He has
first fight.
he has
His first
three
fight.
submission. He has 3 submission wins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his first fight he won by submission. So pretty crazy. He just decided not to use it anymore. Maybe we see some more freedom kicks in this fight, though. I'd like to see that. Just because that's the only entertaining part. Strickland decides to do that. But yeah, I think we're just going to see a lot of teeps, a lot of jabs, a lot of Drickus just doing stuff like he does. And then Drickus, I think I see another, again, Drickus by decision. Drickus has really grown on me. I like him. He's funny. I think he's the best trash talker in the UFC.
He's great on the mic. He
We
is
actually
awesome on the mic.
see a lot of that at the press conference. He was kind of quiet, kind of slow.
They have been more respectful going into this second fight. I mean, after going through all the nasty buildup going into the first fight, they had a really close fight with each other. I'm sure they gained respect for each other with that. And yeah, so they were a lot more peaceful, for lack of a better word, in this build-up for this fight. But nevertheless, it's still going to be a banger, I think. I think it's still going to be really fun.
Be a good fight. I'm excited. But
Yeah,
that is the
for sure.
picks.
Yeah, UFC 312 tonight. And before we wrap it up, we have one retirement to talk about.
Old Dominick Cruz.
Yeah, Dominick Cruz is slated to fight this year. But he had another injury, and he was gonna fight Rob Font.
Yeah.
He's gonna fight Rob Font. But unfortunately, kind of one of the biggest stories of Dom's career, injuries.
Mm-hmm.
He's been out with injuries so much. I actually saw something on Twitter the other day. If you add up all the days that he's been out due to injury, it adds up to like 10 years of inactivity. And needless to say, I still just think it's so impressive that even with that long sustained injury history, he's still right up there in the debate for the greatest bantamweight of all time. I mean, he's right there in the thick of that debate. You can definitely argue that.
He's top three.
He's
I'll
top
say
two.
He's top three. He's top three.
That's a debate for another day. But like
I
said,
love Dominick Cruz. I'm not gonna look it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Unfortunately,
just it sucks that it had to be this way. Something that has been a big part of big story of his career.
the Unk card is no more. We were gonna get Cejudo and Dominick Cruz. That was the Unk card, man, and now it's not happening.
Yeah, it sucks, but obviously, Dom's still going to be busy. Dom's still going to be in MMA. He has his broadcasting job, and he's awesome at that. So,
Yeah, Hall of Famer too, man. Come on now.
Yeah. So obviously, I look forward to seeing him on the mic whenever that may be, and I hope he recovers well soon. And he's
imagine
earned.
He commentates the fight night he was supposed to be on. That'd be something.
Who knows? Could be, but no. Shout out to Dom Cruz, one of the best bantamweights of all time, and he has earned all the flowers and more that he will get. And yeah, he will eventually be in the UFC Hall of Fame. So that being said, next video, reaction video for UFC 312. See y'all then.
Yeah. We will be reacting to Tom Nolan and Borshev. That will be happening.